Thank you. It's a true honor to be here. Thank you to Seoul National University for inviting me here. The last time, just a quick personal story. The last time I was in Korea was 30 years ago. I came on behalf of a human rights organization, and I had the distinct honor of interviewing two of the three Kims, Kim Young-sam and Kim Dae-jung. I interviewed many professors, many government officials. This was a time in the mid-1980s of true tumult, a lot of change, as you all know. And coming back 30 years later, I have seen dramatic and fundamental change in Korea's society, all, of course, to the very good. As Mr. Chang has already said this morning, we are also now in a period of dramatic and fundamental change. We are in this period as a result, in part, of technology, and in particular, as a result, in part, of artificial intelligence. This is a time of remarkable change and opportunity, of sweeping disruption and uncertainty. During the past few years, how people shop, play, and learn about the world have all changed in dramatic ways. Jobs are being redefined. New ways to treat diseases are emerging almost every day. Behind all this change lies groundbreaking technologies like cloud computing that enable us to collect and analyze data at a scale that has never been possible before. But what we have experienced so far is really just the start of something much deeper. Today, artificial intelligence is opening the door to a new generation of revolutionary solutions that will transform every field of human endeavor. After decades of slow progress, advances in machine learning, natural language comprehension, and speech, facial, and object recognition have brought us to the threshold of a new era of computing that will perceive, learn, reason, and act. Already, AI-based solutions like the route planning applications in our cars and the search engines that retrieve content for us from across the internet are woven into the fabric of our everyday activities. And as AI automates more and more routine tasks and provides more powerful tools for understanding complex systems, it will enable people to use their time and talent on work that is more strategic, more creative, more productive, and more valuable than ever before. South Korea is high on a list, very short list of nations that are leading the way forward. It's exciting to be back in the country that Bloomberg has called the world's most innovative economy for the past 5 years. A country that ranks first in the world in robots per capita, second in spending on R&D as a percentage of GDP, and third in AI-related patents. And the announcement in May of an ambitious national plan to invest $2 billion in AI research makes it clear that the South Korean government is committed to ensuring that this country will continue to play a central role in the development of AI. The timing couldn't be more critical. We've recently reached the point where computers can recognize images and understand human speech with the same degree of accuracy as people. And now the real potential for AI to transform our lives is beginning to come into focus. You can see hints of this potential in initiatives like Project Premonition, which was started in the United States. It's exploring how AI can prevent the spread of deadly diseases like Zika and Ebola around the world. The project uses autonomous drones to collect mosquitoes. Researchers then extract blood from the mosquitoes and analyze it to uncover genetic information about the animals that they have bitten and the pathogens that are circulating in the particular environment. Although still in its early stages, Project Premonition may point the way toward an early warning system that detects deadly pathogens in the environment so we can take steps to prevent transmission before outbreaks begin. Here in South Korea, where the Ministry of Food and Drug has granted approval for the country's first AI-powered medical device, you can start to get a sense of how artificial intelligence is beginning to transform medicine. By using deep learning to read X-rays, the device is significantly improving doctors' ability to diagnose growth disorders in children. You can also see the potential for AI at Rochester Institute of Technology's National Institute for the Deaf, which is in New York State. There, students who are deaf and hard of hearing are using Microsoft Translator, an AI-powered communication technology that converts raw spoken language into fluent, punctuated text so that they can attend classes and lectures with their hearing fellow students. This is an exciting example of how AI can serve the 1 billion people in the world with disabilities. But if the potential of AI to transform people's lives for the better is clear and compelling, the challenges it raises are many and difficult. This isn't the first time that breakthrough technologies have been the catalyst for profound changes in how people live and work. History shows us that change of this magnitude never comes without disruption or uncertainty. The first industrial revolution, the second industrial revolution, and the third industrial revolution are all examples of this phenomenon. During each of these periods, dramatic technological progress created great disruption as old industries were rendered obsolete by new ways of doing business, and old jobs gave way to new occupations. But all of these industrial revolutions were accompanied by a sweeping economic transformation that saw living standards improve for millions of people around the world. There's little doubt that artificial intelligence offers similar opportunities to improve people's lives. At Microsoft, we look at the potential impact of AI on science, medicine, education, manufacturing, and more, and we see a future filled with greater opportunity for people and greater prosperity for society. But we also recognize that as we endow machines with cognitive capabilities and depend on computers to make decisions that, until now, have only been made by people, AI raises legitimate and difficult questions. Questions like, who will benefit? How do we protect privacy? What are the implications for employment and the value of human labor? What can we do to guard against bias? And maybe most important, how can we reflect the systems of values and ethics that set the norms for human interaction today in AI systems that will make decisions that affect people tomorrow? At Microsoft, we know an important part of the answer is trust, and that to unleash the full potential of AI to benefit humankind, we must create systems that people trust. As a company that is deeply committed to ensuring that the benefits of technology are broadly accessible and fairly distributed, we believe trust will ultimately be built on a human-centered approach to AI. Human-centered AI grows out of our belief that technology isn't a substitute for human creativity, judgment, and initiative. The qualities that make us human, imagination, empathy, kindness, and insight, these qualities will always be essential and must always be valued. Rather than a way to replace humans, we see AI as a powerful set of tools that will augment human talents and abilities. Now, to make sure that we live up to this understanding of the role that technology should play in people's lives, we have adopted a framework of 6 ethical principles that guide our work in AI. The first principle is transparency. We know trust requires clear information about how AI systems work so people can judge for themselves whether they are working the way they are supposed to, and so that they can make informed decisions about using them and sharing their personal data. We also know that for trust to be possible, the people and companies who create AI must be accountable for how their systems operate and the impact that they have, both as a question of ethics and values and as a function of regulation and law. These 2 principles, transparency and accountability, make 4 more principles possible. First, there is fairness. We believe AI should treat everyone with dignity and respect, and that AI solutions should be designed to protect against bias. There's a danger that today, AI will perpetuate the assumptions and biases that so many societies are working to overcome. To guard against this, we'll need to develop analytic techniques that identify bias in results. And we must work with individuals and organizations from across society to ensure that the work we do reflects shared values. We also need to make sure that these new systems are safe and reliable, particularly when the decisions that they make or the actions they take impact people. Because data is the fuel that powers the development of AI models, we have to protect the safety and privacy of people's personal information. And to ensure that everyone benefits, AI solutions need to be inclusive, which means that they're accessible and easy to use for people of every age, every skill level, and every ability or disability, and in every country and community. But to be very clear here, these are Microsoft's principles. And let me just take a moment. So this is how we conceive of these 6 principles working together. So you see accountability and transparency are the underpinning of our framework. And then the 4 additional pillars on top, which must include transparency and accountability, those 4 additional pillars are also deeply important to our framework. But as I said, and to be very clear, these are Microsoft's principles. And while they reflect fundamental values that we hold at our company, I'm not here to say that they're the only principles that can be applied to AI, and I wouldn't presume to tell you that they're necessarily the best principles. We do hope, however, that these principles will help start more conversations around the world about the ethics of AI. We need more conversations about what responsibility companies bear for how their technologies are used and whether AI ultimately serves as a force for improving people's lives around the world. We need more conversations about what steps governments should take to regulate AI and to what end. As AI becomes powerful, these conversations will only become more important. The fact is that we've reached a point where it's no longer enough to simply push forward to see what technology can do. now we must also ask about what technology should do. Simply asking the question raises the possibility that we must be willing to decide that there are things the technology should not do as well. This is something we've been grappling with at Microsoft as it applies to facial recognition software. Our concerns here center on the potential negative impacts on privacy and human rights, and the fact that current facial recognition software has a higher error rate for women and for people of color. After much internal debate, we decided that we needed to take a more deliberative approach to this technology. As a result, we have turned down some requests to deploy facial technology capabilities with respect to some of our customers. We have simply said no. We've also called on the US government to adopt regulations that govern the use of facial recognition software in our country, particularly with respect to the government's use of this technology. Now, this issue of the tension between what these technologies can do and what they should do was a hot topic here in South Korea as well. As most of you must know, the discussion began when the Korea Times reported that Korea Advanced Institute of Sciences and Technology was working with a defense manufacturer to develop autonomous AI-based military weapons, or what the newspapers preferred to call killer robots. This particular controversy died down quickly after the president of the institute reaffirmed his commitment to human rights and high ethical standards, and promised that his researchers were not involved in developing killer robots. But I believe that we're going to face more and more questions like this as these amazing technologies continue to advance and we struggle to find the right balance between what is possible and what we value. There will be times when finding this balance will be very challenging. We live in a diverse world that is rich with great philosophical, ethical, and legal traditions. We also live in a global world, where economic stability depends on the free flow of information and ideas, and our economies, our cultures, and our businesses are tightly linked and mutually interdependent. In a world like this, whose values should we live up to? Whose ethical principles should the AI systems that we build reflect? Answering these questions will require new conversations that bring people together from around the world who have deep knowledge of the traditions that they represent, combined with imagination and generosity of spirit to work together to achieve a global understanding of what it means to use AI for the greater good. It won't be easy. This then is why I am so glad to be back in Korea. There are so many brilliant and thoughtful people here in this room, in this city, and in this country. The questions that you are raising here today, the discussions you are engaging in, even the disagreements that you're having, are a critical part of the process that enables us to move forward to find the balance between what is possible and what is right. More than anything else, the fact that you've all come here today from so many places around the world and from around the country to share your expertise, your knowledge, your wisdom, as we struggle together to find the best path forward, this is what gives me hope for the future. So I'm honored to be part of these important conversations. And I just want to end by saying thanks. Thanks to all of you for being here today. Thank you.